Hello.
All righty, welcome. I am Heather Pierce Campbell, the legal website warrior. I'm an attorney and legal coach based here in Seattle, Washington, serving online information entrepreneurs throughout the US and the world. Welcome to another episode of Guts, Grit, and Great Business. I am super excited about this one. I've been looking forward to connecting with my friend and a website and designer expert extraordinaire, Emilia Farrace Amaro. Welcome, Emilia.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, so great to see you again. So
You
the
too.
backstory is that Emilia and I actually first met, I don't even know how many years ago it was now. Were we in that mastermind for a couple of years together?
I think so. I think it was 2016, to be honest, or 2017. It was a while.
It
It's been a
was a
while.
while. So we were in a mastermind together, and then since then I've been in touch. And then most recently, I hired Emilia's and her company to completely redo my website. So we went through a massive redesign, and that overlapped with COVID, which made some of the timing interesting. I'm sure Emilia's like, "Oh, you were like one of my hardest clients," but
No, you were not.
I love the outcome. Anyways, we'll talk more about that. But for those of you that don't know Emilia, Emilia is an entrepreneur in the business of helping people follow their dreams and create organizations that impact their communities. At the Launch It Co., Emilia helps business owners in the health, wellness, and lifestyle space. You need to add legal to the list. I'm kidding.
Your helper. Your
Right?
helper.
Create a sustainable online presence so they can focus on their passions, impact, and sharing their voice with the world. Offline, you can find Emilia connecting with other moms of neurodivergent children. Ooh, we need to talk about this. Moving her body with yoga and exploring the local trails and wineries close to home in Niagara, Ontario, with her husband and two young daughters. So before we went live, that's what we were chatting about, just catching up on life and kids and motherhood. So Emilia, welcome. I'm super happy to see you again.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be back.
Totally.
We've
I
done this in the
know.
past too. So yeah.
Right? I know it's taken a while. But the timing is always right. So here you are. And for folks that don't know your history, what led you in, because we were just talking about timelines and how long you've actually been involved in the design and website space, the entrepreneurial space, and helping people really create a brand presence online. Share with us a little bit about your backstory.
Well, I would love to. Thank you for asking. I guess what we were talking about right before record is just how, I think from a business standpoint, when did I first get my master business license and start it up? I believe it was March of 2010. But only recently I've been really looking at my history, and that's when I got my master business license. But I have been exchanging services in exchange for money or value for I'd say probably about 2007. So it's kind of, sorry, not 2007, even 2003, 2002. So I'm just adding years because being interested in the online world and coding and websites and showing up online has interested me since I've been 14. And I don't even know what year. I probably should have prepped that. I don't even know what year that would be, but I think it's the 90s. We were definitely using AOL hours as our time online. And every time we got one of those discs in the mail for a trial, I would get it. And I'd sign us up. I remember signing up for my first email address with my mom's, it was Hotmail and it was free. And my mom going, nothing is ever free. And a valid question, which is just really funny because, Hotmail is free and, she has a Hotmail account. And it would just stuff like that and just kind of dipping my toes into the online world. It's been a long time. And by the time, 2002, 2003, I was in university. I had already, I guess, what you would consider expert status at that for the level at that point, because obviously things change all the time. And I never realized that. And I've only just, doing our own website redo and looking at the history of myself and the business. And it's just kind of like mind-boggling of how long I've been in this world and enjoying it, and a part of the transitions and seeing the expansion, the evolution. Like, HTML is like one tiny little language now, like just for one thing. Like there's just so much you can literally do anything. And it's been a pleasure to kind of be able to see it and be a part of it. So
Totally. So we're going to pause for a second. Your sound is a little glitchy. I'm wondering, it just sounds like the internet connection's a little slow. That can sometimes happen. If you will just look, do you have any other open windows, browsers, anything you can close down to see if it will optimize the connection?
Oh, sure. Let me
just take a second. We'll just see if it helps improve it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Just there's a very slight time lag where your voice kind of like out and then comes back.
Okay. I'm just exiting everything that
Totally.
I had.
Yep.
I don't know why the calendar's open.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the browser.
Is that better? I exited everything.
Okay, we can definitely test it. The other thing you can do is control, I'm sure you're on a Mac, control option escape to see if there's any extra applications running that you can just close down that are not Zoom.
Not a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Just force quit.
Okay. I'm just doing Google Chrome. You know what happens? It's because my husband's working from home. Every time he works from home and we have to share the internet, and he doesn't it's not like he's streaming video. It's just so weird. Okay. I just have Zoom up now.
Okay. So we can test that. If it continues to be wonky, what we can do is actually turn videos off and just do the audio, optimize it for audio, and then we can just put a placeholder for the video. So we'll just see how this goes. Sorry. No, you're okay. I love hearing your the backstory and really how young you were when you got started, like experimenting, diving into the digital world. What was it about design that really caught your attention? Like, share with us where it became your emphasis became design specifically.
Oh, that's a good question. So when I was in university, Sex and the City was really popular. And I I just loved Carrie's job. I loved, being there and typing. And so I had a blog, and that's kind of like what I would do. And it was funny because I was writing about the experiences of being in school and dating and all the same things in like a 20-year-old school version. But what I did notice that slowly it would start to, I just I didn't like the way something looked. And then I started diving into WordPress, which was super new, started in 2003. And I was able to just kind of play around with the way my blog looked. And I found that I liked doing that. I liked getting inspiration from other websites that I was seeing, other blogs, because blogging was really cool but not to everybody. No one else knew what it was. It was like if you had a blog and you were online, it was cool. And just seeing all of the different website of options and being able to kind of curate my own, I would notice that I would kind of get stagnant with my commitment to writing. But if I spent some time redesigning and doing a refresh, it would jump kick my inspiration to oh, I want to write today. And it's just, cool to match this new design. And I just had so many different designs. And I think that's the best way to describe when I started shifting to the design and just kind of having that power. And I mean, at that point too, the design is very, very minimal because WordPress didn't have a lot of options and you really had to code. Like there
Yeah.
was no themes like there are now. Like there was, because I mean, that's how it runs, but there was like literally 3 themes. And you had to just create your designs from those as a base. It's where I learned a lot of mistakes, like something like a child theme. When you are using a theme as a base and then you do a lot of changes, you want to do a child theme, because when a new update comes along and you update your theme, it will overwrite everything you've done.
And
So I was
explain. So
very,
for people
yeah.
listening who are like, I don't even know what a child theme is, explain what that means.
So when you install a theme onto WordPress, especially, you need to use a theme. The default theme that is installed usually is 2021 or 2023, whatever the year is. WordPress has that theme.
Yep.
But let's say you love that framework and it works for you and it's great, but there's just a few tweaks that you want to make. Creating a child theme creates a sub theme. So it's kind of like a subfolder within a folder. And it allows you to put all of your styling into that theme, so that when the developers of 2023 or whatever theme you're using create updates, because they will, just that main theme is updated, but all of your style edits stay safe in that subfolder child theme that you've created. So not a lot of people do that or like are aware of that when you're new. So it's like things like that I got to make the mistakes on for myself.
Yeah.
So it was like, I have never made that mistake on a client website, which it's okay. Like it sucks, but you can, you just redo all your styles. But that was like something that, you learn off of yourself. And the more you're able to play around with, just making those mistakes, I was just really fortunate to like make all those mistakes on my things when I wasn't charging people.
Yeah,
So
totally. Yeah. Well, it's what is it do you think about your personality that allowed you to be somebody like who jumped into that and figured it out? Because I think there were plenty of people who were interested but didn't go exploring on their own and sorting it out. Did you how did you learn code? How did you start to learn some of these things on your own?
Well, I think we were talking about this before we started recording, about just diving into the online world and having it available at such a young age for me. Not a lot of people in my world did or knew what it was, and I was obsessed with it. I loved it. Pretty soon, though, I mean, there's only so much internet browsing you can do. Like this was a really long time ago. Not everyone had a website. So after, you go on there, you check your same usual 3 sites, and then you get bored. I wanted to do something else. And that's where I think I just got the idea. And I Yahooed, because there was no Google. So I used the Yahoo search engine, and I came across a website called Lissa Explains It All. And it was a 13-year-old girl explaining code to other kids.
Oh my
The
gosh,
site
I
is still up.
love that
Yeah,
so much.
it's amazing. So because part of her thing was, and it still exists, if you type in, I want to learn how to code, an underline or something like that. At the time, just the response you get was just like 3 paragraphs, super wordy language, essay style, encyclopedia, because that's the like world we were still in. And it was very difficult to understand, like, well, what's the code if I want to underline something? And Lissa explains she just laid it out. She had a really easy to understand menu, really easy to understand how 2 steps from start to finish to creating your own website with all the different features. So I think she would have been the same age, or if not even younger, but I know that that site was hosted on DreamHost. It still is. DreamHost then became my favorite host of choice and still is. And I recommend to a lot of my clients and students. And it like the stuff that's on the website now isn't super relevant, but all the coding still works because it is like the base HTML coding. So some of the tags and whatnot might have been depreciated, but they still work. And I just find that really cool. I think it will continue to stay up because it's kind of been like one of the historical websites of of the world, if that's a thing, because it was so instrumental. She even talked about just like aligning it with copyrights and legal. She had a lot of people steal the way she was writing things. Her site even introduced me to Copyscape, because she started to have to do that because she was seeing her language popping up on all of these other, super scientific type websites, articles, news articles, like with these big wigs, adults writing stuff, and they were using her stuff. And so it's like, even from that early age too, of just tying this into legalities, of just understanding the power and like the scariness of putting stuff on the web, and like, is it yours? Is it not yours? How do you make it yours? How do you make sure it is? Like all of that stuff I was exposed to really, really young. And I got to see a lot of that through that website, which was funny. And I think that's how I just got into it. You just kind of get bored of doing one thing, and I wanted to try something else. And fast forward a couple of years, when I was working on my own sites and like hitting walls because I couldn't figure something out, I usually had to fix something on my site. And so I was like, no, I got to figure this out. I got to keep doing this. And to the point of, I decided to minor in computers because I needed to up my marks. And I did. I got a minor in applied infotech purely to up my marks because the assignments were so easy for me. And I just think back, like, why I never considered even like going into computer science as a major for myself. Instead, I went to communications, because at the time, it wasn't actually something that was encouraged for girls. That's for sure. Yeah. But if I look at my old report cards, my highest marks were computers, high 90s. But I was like, no, I want to be a writer.
Oh my
And
gosh.
my English marks were not nearly as high as my computer, but I think it's like a perfect blend for me.
Yes.
And I'm really happy I never went down the computer science path, because I think I learned so much from majoring in communications and going down that route that's helped me create such sustainability in my business, because I don't think I would have been able to properly understand or articulate all the other things that have to do with the website, especially in 2023, when a website, I mean, I feel like sometimes coding is the least of your worries nowadays, because it is. Like,
right.
really.
Well, because now there's all these tools that have made it so accessible, right? So, and that's what did not exist before. There's a couple of things I really love about this path. One is that there was a 13-year-old girl on the internet that you found teaching people about coding, and her site, you're right, is still up. And at the bottom, it says, this website is registered with the Library of Congress Copyright Office, right? So clearly she at some point went and got all of her stuff registered. And I mean, this is one of the other realities of being online, is even now, it's so crazy, because I just think, ethics, a big dose of ethics would stop a lot of people from doing this. And yet I've still intersected, because I use Copyscape, which is another tool you mentioned. And so I find people who have ripped off not only my content, but content belonging to some of my clients, because I will monitor for some of my larger clients as well. And Copyscape is a tool that's super helpful for that. But it means I have to issue communications to people who have literally duplicated, work that was paid for by another client, and get them to take it down. And many of those people act like they have no idea how it got there. You get the big lies in the stories, and some of them are good humans, are like, oh, yeah, I did do that. Oh my gosh, you're right. I should see now that even the legal stuff is proprietary. Like I shouldn't have done that. How can I pay you and just become your client and have you create that for me, right? And so it makes me realize,
That's
like, okay,
awesome.
right? I can't judge everybody too harshly, because some of these people genuinely made a mistake and they should have known, but for whatever reason they didn't. And so I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And across the board, I work really hard to teach my clients, like, you didn't create it if you didn't pay for the creation of it. You don't otherwise have a license to use it. Like, you do not take copy or images from the internet and just use them. Anyways, that's a whole different rabbit hole. But um, when you and I intersected paths, gosh, whenever it was, 2016 or so, right? I was a few years in, and I know this is a big jump forward. One more thought, actually, even before we get to that phase in time, what you said about like really having this knack when it comes, like the skill when it came to understanding like computers and computer code. First of all, I love that you took that class just to improve your marks. A
I'm
lot of people,
strategic.
right, would not be doing that. But then your journey really speaks to this like beautiful blend of how like we all have certain talents and skills that are just inherent, that are just like we're going to excel at that stuff because it's naturally in us. And sometimes we pursue that route exclusively, and sometimes, like you've done, you end up like utilizing that and layering over, leaning into learning some additional areas that, when you look backwards, you're like, oh, it's so obvious why that was the right choice, and why, even when I didn't know it, like that was the perfect combination of worlds for me. I feel the same thing
Yeah.
about like legal and business. I never once thought about legal growing up, thought a lot about business, you know what I mean? And then ended up kind of taking this fork in the road. And now where I'm at is like, of course, the perfect blend of those two things, because legal really allows me to utilize the problem solving that I love doing so much. So it is fun when you see those dots, connect in ways that you're like, of course, like now it makes sense. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
Fast forwarding your journey, because I want to hear a little bit about the entrepreneur journey, right? And what that looked
Mhm.
like. And I know like it's changed a lot even since you and I first connected. I had my second child in the meantime. You've had two children and become a mom. Do you want to share a little bit about, and I'm particularly interested in the way motherhood has changed your approach to your business?
That's really funny. I just got asked this question yesterday on or no, Tuesday on a catch-up call with someone. And it's like it's funny because even though I've just answered it, really, it feels like it's a different answer every day. And I think that
Yeah.
to answer that as the answer of now with motherhood, how do I approach business?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's still I approach it like it's a different answer every day because even now, I don't know if my child's school is going to call me and these kids are going to need to come home because of whatever reason. So
Mm.
it's like those kinds of little details of motherhood and now not only being solely responsible for myself and my business, it's the magnitude of responsibility in general is just triple, I think.
Mm.
And it's actually made me better. So with that level of, I guess it's anxiety of like never really knowing what the day is going to hold, but a different level of preparation, because the more I can be secure in my service and my offer and working with people who would be a-okay with rescheduling or something like that,
Yes.
um the more that the anxiety isn't as real. So my kids have both been in daycare, like both of them, now for over a year when my
Mhm.
youngest turned 1. And so it's taken me only now, I'd say only for the last few months, have I truly felt comfortable with this new arrangement. And so technically I've been back from mat leave for over a year and I didn't feel like it. I felt like just all over the place and just kind of trying to chase and get ahead. And now just really leaning into, well, this is the process that I have and just owning it and being confident in
Mm.
this is what I have to do. And just realizing that, well, a lot of my clients are moms. So they're like, yeah, I get it.
Yep.
And so it's like, it's okay. And kind of that anxiety is not as bad as I thought, like in actuality. And it's just from like a financial standpoint too, though, of someone who is running the business. And when you don't work, primarily service based, if you don't work, you don't get paid,
Yes.
just creating a different kind of a process that allows flexibility for those days of not working, and really leaning on my team, and making sure that the work gets done and the clients are served from start to finish, whether I have to leave for a kid appointment or not. And I think that level of organization is something that I didn't even know I had the power to do, and would have been really helpful when I was just me in my business. I think like it's kind of interesting to look at it. I was like, if I was this productive and this focused and this like have no choice, um, for the first like 10 years of my business, it's like pretty interesting where I think I could be. Because the level of, I can't procrastinate. Like I literally can't procrastinate as much as I might have, because I only get 6 hours a day, if that. And I love meetings. I love like connecting with people one-on-one. And I've found like a happy medium of like blending that all in. But I get so much work done. My new process, everything that we've done, like I actually had to like rejig my own thought process of like, oh wow, like I actually did quite a bit of work in that little bit. And I think that that's kind of what's really helped open my eyes of it. It doesn't matter how many outside people tell you like how much you're doing, or wow, you're balancing it all. I do have an approach of like, I'm not the only mom in the world, and I'm not the first mom in the world. So I think I'm a little hard on myself on that, because I hear it a lot from other moms and from other people of like, you're doing so much, or you're all this. But to me, I go, I don't know. Everyone else is doing the exact same thing. And in actuality, a lot of the people I know have a more traditional 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how
Yes.
you serve a boss, and you have to do all these things and be point of contact for your kids. Like that to me, I'm like, I applaud you. Because I just like
Yeah.
that to me is out of this world. I have no idea how that is accomplished. And I
Oh,
look at it as just so grateful, like that I can, if I have to pick up my kids at 3:30, I pick them up at 4. This was not the experience I had when I was younger. Like I was the one in the daycare for a really long time. And I just think that it's like a lot of gratitude, a lot of organization, a lot of days where I don't feel organized, and just showing up and serving my clients, and then
yeah.
students, and then my kids and my husband and my family. And then me in there too. I definitely
Right.
take time out for me though. I do.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh, such a great description of motherhood. I can relate to so much. I mean, it's so crazy because you work through like these even different phases of motherhood where you think, and this happened to us pre-COVID, like, oh, I finally have got some good supports in place, and then COVID hit and everything went away and it's like back to square one. And how many moms actually just left the workplace
I
because
know.
it was unsustainable, and I feel the same way you do. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like, yeah, certainly like my time has taken a hit, business looks a little different these days, but even this last year, quote unquote, post COVID, coming out of COVID, the amount of illness my 5-year-old has had, and I know a lot of families with littles where they're like, holy cow, it's like she gets sick, we're sick for 2 weeks, and then she's like, rounding the corner, gets better. We have like 2 or 3 days of wellness, and then she comes home with something new from school. And that has been, I mean, I think we're 100, I don't know, 100, and I don't even know how many days into the school year, maybe around 150. She's had 66 sick days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like 30 to 40%, I feel like, of her calendar year this year has been home sick with mom, and my son, that doesn't account for his sick days as well. And so I've literally this year like had half my time go to my kids and doctor's appointments. And
Mhm.
some of these illnesses are not just like, stay home and watch cartoons. It's like we are getting them into providers, sometimes multiple providers, sometimes urgent care. I mean, it has been such
Mhm.
a circus. And I've had the same thought repeatedly, like, I don't know actually how I would have survived this year if I was a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
I
You wouldn't
just
have been.
no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have
You
been.
would have been
I
let go
Yes, it
under the
is
guise of something else. Yeah.
totally so much to juggle. And so I feel that so hard. And just the real job that moms have, especially working moms, to keep it all going and to keep all the balls moving and people healthy and happy, and then ourselves, right? And that's a whole nother conversation. I would love to know, what is it that you really love about your work? Like, what is it that does keep you going? And I want to first of all honor the fact that you have built in systems, you have an amazing team, you've got a level of organization that is, been so supportive of your ability to continue to do this work and do it at a very high level. What is it about the work that you love and that keeps you going?
I love the people that we work with. I think that the companies and the individuals that we attract are just like that, the lifestyle wellness healers. Everyone is creating a project or a business that's helping someone else or a community. And
Mm.
I am always so drawn into whatever it is that I just want it to work so well for them right from the get-go as much as possible, because I believe in what they're doing and they believe in what they're doing. And I know that it takes a lot longer to get somewhere. And it doesn't mean you're not going to get there, but it takes a lot longer when you don't have someone in your corner batting for you. And I think that me particularly, and the business that I've created, has that innate ability to really connect and see the power and the vision of whatever the project or the website and the business is, and all
Mm.
of the systems and the processes and everything that's really going to make you succeed, as well as like your customers and your people really flourish with your service. Because I think a lot of people get stuck on the fact that they're supposed to be good at the tech stuff and the processes and all those things in order to be successful at whatever it is that they are. And I think that that's the disconnect in this industry, that it's like, if you just knew how to do all this stuff, it all falls like into place, which isn't the case. If you
Mm.
know at your core what it is you're doing and who it is you're helping in the world, and you know like what you need to do, you just don't, maybe you're like 50-50 on the process, it's so doable. And I want to be a company that helps you with that 50-50, like just be like, oh, all you need to do is set this up and then start on this process and serve your people. Like, do your thing. You don't have to
Mhm.
worry about all of these things that help support you online. I think it's important that you learn about them. And that is like the base of what we do, and just making sure that you feel comfortable, because it is important. And when you have confidence in the items that are supporting you in your business, it's easier to support the people in your business.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, when you have confidence in everything else and you're not doing everything in your business, you're just really able to explore the service you're providing. And I love doing that for people. Like, I love people getting to do that for themselves. So if that was
Mm.
like a really long-winded way to answer that, sorry. But
No, 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 no. The gems in
yeah.
there, the gems in there are that, one, people do absolutely get bogged down by the tech and the website stuff and thinking like I should be able to figure this out or do it or whatever. And it's like, no, like you like none of us have the capacity to go learn the expertise in every area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the things that I loved about working with you guys is I think I had a pretty specific vision of how I wanted things to look. Do you think I had any idea how that was actually going to happen? Nope. And
Nope.
so being able to work with somebody like you and your team that's like, oh, here's how we could do that. And here, like, I literally watched it come to life in a way that I was like, yes, yes, that is what I wanted. You guys were able to translate that vision into functionality and beautiful design. And if you're listening, we're going to share obviously all of Emilia's links, and we'll ask you where you are in a minute, as far as, you know, where you like to be online and how to connect with you. But I will invite you to pop over and check out, because one of the things I think you really excel at is like really beautiful use of color in your designs. And I know that that early part of the process was one of my favorite parts of the process.
Oh, good. Like the Pinterest and the
Like
find, like the, yeah, yeah.
exploring, like, how do you want your brand to feel, you know? How, like, what is it that you want people to experience when they, and obviously, you know, that's so much bigger than just your website. Like, it relates to your services and how you deliver and, you know, all of the follow through, everything. But that initial experience of somebody finding you online or interacting with your website, I had so much fun in exploring, you know, the color, the fonts, the like going through the full branding package with you. And I don't think everybody excels at that. Like I wasn't even clear on myself how we were going to like bring all the color together, and I love it. I love the
Yeah,
colors that we
good,
ended up
good.
choosing and that, you know, work on my site. And even when I look at the other examples on your website, right? Because you've got a page that highlights some of the you know, showcases some of the other websites that you've worked on. Like, it's just a really beautiful blend of colors, each one. And so
Yeah,
anyways,
thanks.
yeah, I think just you really help people come to life through their site, and their work come to life. And it's, you know, the difference between, I think, and it's for anybody listening, like, clearly you're in the online business space. I mean, you can't be a modern business and not have a strong online presence. And like, how many people do you connect with that are like, have website shame? Like, oh yeah, don't go look at my site. It's not really, you know, up to date. Like, so
Yeah.
many people. And the difference between being able to like operate from a place of like loving your website, feeling like it's authentically you, it's representing you, your work, your brand, whether that's personal brand, a business brand, it really makes a dramatic difference in, I think, how you feel about your online presence, and therefore how you show up and interact with people and interact with clients.
Yeah. And also who you're attracting as well. So I
Yeah.
love that you brought up about the color and everything, because I feel also what makes us different is I believe really strongly with connecting trends that we're seeing with classic functional design and user experience. Because I find that, especially in the last few years, because websites and building a website is a lot easier in terms of platform and templates, and like there's just really so many places you can go. I feel like we tend to kind of get into a certain look, and there is a trendy look happening right now, and it is beautiful, it is gorgeous, like there's no doubt about it. But to me, they all look the same. All the sites look the
Mm,
same, all the businesses look the same, and when I land on a website, um I just see the same thing over and over. And now
mm,
I don't want that for people. I want them to use these elements and these fun trends, but also in a way that creates longevity. Like, I think too, if you really talk about it, like we did a rebrand for you, but it's actually been a few years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you
Mm-hmm.
were to go to your site, it does not look like it's been a few years. It's like, we really do that with all of our sites, that we really take on that challenge as well. Because, your website's always evolving and you probably will
Mm-hmm.
need a redo eventually, but we
Yep.
want to try and make that go as long as possible, as long as you are,
Mm-hmm.
of course, serving the right ideal client that you want.
Yep.
So for us too, we are always guiding, like, who is that ideal client? Who are you making your website for? And we want to make sure that we're catering to that person as well as you, which is that added element that um, I do feel is lacking a lot in the industry, because
Mm-hmm.
we come to with like, sorry, clients such as yourself, and when I say such as yourself, I mean like entrepreneurs. You're coming, you want to hire a company, and you think you have this idea. I want it to look like this. I want it to look like that. This is so pretty. I get a lot of like, I want it to look like Marie Forleo's site. I want it to look like Jenna Kutcher's site. These people are at a certain level and they usually have different um ICAs. They usually have different people that
Mm-hmm.
they're serving. They're usually selling completely different things than the person wants, but they're just looking at it from the look portion. And
Totally.
it's like, these sites are beautiful, and these, like, it's not about that. It's like, but what do we want them to say? Like, these people are serving magnitude, like huge audiences that are coming at from all over the place. And we're helping small to medium sized businesses we have people that have large audiences, but usually because they've come from one or two places. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of like navigating that conversation, and that is part of all the colors and the fonts and like what they're
Mm-hmm.
seeing. And so, like, it's really fun for us to do that. It's sometimes can be jarring to hear that from a client, I think, from that
Mm-hmm.
perspective. But it's really nice to be able to be a part of that, because it's all part of creating that sustainability. Because if you're just going to create something that you saw on another site because it's beautiful and because you really like the way they're transitioned, their font in, but we're not really looking at the fact that, maybe the handwriting is a little too handwriting and you can't read it, those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things. If you're not a designer, you're not really thinking about it. And just having that UX background, that the user experience, and just really wanting to focus on what that client's going to feel like when they come on your site. I want them hitting that book now button. I want them to hit the buy now button, whatever their goal is. And it's like my job to make sure that happens for you, so that you guys can just show up and do your thing and focus on whatever your expertise is, and like working on blending those two experiences together on the website, on the project, and like whatever it is we're working on. And
Yeah.
it's just I love it. So
Yeah.
I get carried away.
No, I love it. I love hearing you talk about it. Your passion definitely comes alive. And I think what you've just demonstrated is how much thought actually goes into it behind the background that so many people don't even think about when they're kind of walking this process themselves. They're like, oh, I like this. And so therefore I want it on my site versus like, who am I speaking to? What resonates with my ideal clients? Like I think there's definitely certain elements that we can draw from and figure out why do we like those things. But you're right, it's a much bigger conversation. And so much I think of why, websites can have that same feel that you're talking about is because people literally are like, design me a site that looks like that. You know what I mean? Versus
Definitely.
going through this really detailed process of exploring with somebody like yourself, what a unique site for you would look like. And I love your emphasis on like drawing from trends, but also really remaining really classic so that you withstand the test of time. Even though we all know, every probably 4 or 5 years minimum, we need to be updating, evolving our work and our site. And if you haven't, a little bit like your headshot, I'm looking at my super old Zoom headshot. Right? We've got to get those things updated.
Yeah, you know what? And it's really good point. It doesn't mean you need a whole redesign. If you've
Mhm.
got a good website, which hopefully you have a really strong development theme, well, all you have to do, or all you could do to get that refresh, if this is something that you're looking to do, just for anyone who's listening, it doesn't have to be completely redo. Freshen up those images, freshen
Yeah.
up your headshots. And even if you wanted to go this far, this one's a little bit trickier, but playing with your fonts. It's amazing what
Mhm.
fonts will do to a site. And that's also what we aim to do with the theme that we use as the base theme for all of our websites, is that really strong core framework that then you guys can play with. We have an easy spot to be able to change your colors. We teach you how to change the images, all of those things in case you want to play on your own in the future. You don't have to reinvest such a large amount into like a complete redo,
Right.
especially if you're not ready. It's like a nice way that you have that control into play without needing to jump back in all the time. And, you know, if you
Yeah.
want to, sure.
Yeah.
But,
Well, there's a
yeah.
couple things about the way that you've designed your business and your services that I think is really phenomenal and does make what you're talking about even more accessible. One, I wanted to emphasize like the fact that you work within a specific niche so that you understand these business models very well, right? And that's what it takes, I think, to really achieve a design that works, is like you need to be working with somebody who understands your business.
Hmm.
Um, and like I was connecting with a former client who is in the website design, SEO, marketing space, right? He's got kind of a whole thing going on. But when I asked him who his primary clients are, he was like, it's really interesting because it's like automotive. Like he had these niches where I was like, woo, and then some professional services, but it was vastly different than the folks that I'm talking to every day, right? So it was a bit of a mismatch as far as like,
Mm-hmm.
helping him share his story or whatever, because my audience is not his audience. But those niches can really develop even amongst designers. Like I know people who work exclusively in the legal world. And I was really
Hmm.
clear. I did not want a website that looks like other legal websites.
Yeah, I
And I
remember.
think we achieved that, right?
I
Anyways,
do too.
yes, that's a really important piece of, I think, selecting the right design company to work with. And it's one thing that I love about what you do well. And then on the accessibility side, you have this whole way that you offer training and for certain clients access to like that additional support where if they want to go in and do some of those tweaks and play with, a few elements that are easy to update, like you give them access to how to do that so that they're not having to hire a redesign every time they need something done.
Yeah, I love that too. So that kind of expanded because we wanted to obviously offer different services. Some people didn't need a full website. It sort of expanded from, I had more of a new entrepreneur coming to us for websites. And I
Mhm.
just felt like, I don't think you're ready. Like, but sometimes people don't want to hear that. But it's more like we don't do brand identities like the one you were describing for yourself unless you have been in business for at least 3 years, and unless you've seen success in your business how you define success, and usually that means
Mhm.
financial and also working with clients and understanding who it is you're working with, because the amount of time, energy, and financial resources that go into a brand identity, you really need to know who you're working with and who you want to work with, for us to create something that is going to stand the test of time. And so I wanted to kind of create something that people could just launch with, get started on your web,
Yes.
just get it up there, because um it's like a catch 22. a brand is important for so many reasons, but a brand isn't only your logo and what colors you are. A brand is
Yes.
how you are operating as an entire ecosystem. And until you understand how that works for you, you're not going to find the perfect color. The perfect color and the perfect font in your logo is not going to bring that out. So I wanted to create like beautiful, again, functional, nice templates that could really blend with multiple industries and multiple businesses so that they could launch with something gorgeous. It's not DIY in sense of do it yourself. It's like
Yes.
you're just putting your content together and having that available that they could just pop it in there. And it's seen such great success because again, it gives them the same result as it gives someone like you who came in for a custom website. The result is a website you're proud of, a website that makes sense for you and your business at the whatever stage you're at, and
Yep.
something that you can easily update and change, which is again, like after they've played around with the templates, they know how to do that. And like doing this drastically changed our entire business and it drastically changed who we're working with. Because those people come back after those few years are done. Then when they're ready to do the larger website, they're in around our ecosystem. So they're constantly learning how to make the website work for them. That isn't only about design. It's actually about
Mhm.
function and how do we integrate all these different platforms that has come up in this day and age, like consultation. How do we use email service providers like ConvertKit, an Active Campaign, and how do we integrate all of these things? How do we make it work? So like our business too, we do websites and develop them, but we are also helping people create that ecosystem that serves their client. And that's why we expanded to other templates like lead generation templates, event registration templates, sales page templates, because a lot of people like they have the idea for the business, or sorry, the service or the product, but they don't have everything else together yet. So having these templates and being able to just launch something so you have something up there that people can see while you start promoting yourself, it adds to that confidence level and just getting ready to like go after it, go after the thing that they want, start making money, start working with people, start really developing that core, this is my business, cool. And then expanding on their own business ecosystem from there. And it's just like, it's been remarkable to see the confidence shifts in people. It's like, I
Mm.
hardly even talk logos anymore. Logos happen when we're ready for a logo, which is fun. It's
Yep.
funner to design. It's funner to reveal. It's like it just because there's just so much more gumption behind it.
Yes. Well, experience does wonders from the perspective of identity of a business, of their clientele. Some people launch and they think this is who I'm going to serve, and they end up serving a completely different audience. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So and that just takes time to sort out. And so I do love the way that you have made this whole level of design very accessible. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's interesting because you will often hear designers in the marketplace, and I'm sure you do as well to some extent for some of the quote unquote template sites that are out there. It's like legal for me. If it's not a fit for your business, it's not a fit for your business. Like
Mm-hmm.
a template is not going to serve you. But what you've done differently is you've created these beautiful, like really customized templates with all of these ways that you can further customize them for a very specific niche. And it's a niche that you understand the business model for, right? So there's all of this extra that goes into it. So like, even when I talk to
Yeah.
other designers and they're like, oh, templates suck, blah, blah, blah. I'm in the back like, except for my friend Emilia, you definitely need to go visit her site.
Thank you. Thank you.
Totally. So if you're listening, and especially if you're a little bit newer on your journey and you're like, oh my gosh, look, I really want a beautiful site that's representative of my brand and my work, and you're not yet to the place of having a full custom design, Oh my gosh, Emilia is for you all day long and twice on Sunday. So go visit the links. Emilia, I know we've totally pushed you on time today, but I would
Oh,
love
that's
to
okay.
know, where do you show up online and how do you like for people to connect with you?
Yeah, just for easiness, it's just the
Yep.
launchit.co. You could type that in and it'll redirect you to launch-it.co. It's just easier. So the
Yep.
launchit.co. You can find me online at Emilia Does Stuff. I find that the easiest because I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I like exploring, and I like share about it all on that one account. And those are the two places
I love it.
that
So
I generally am showing up.
yep, I love your Amelia Does Stuff, and I know that I see your stuff regularly on Instagram. So we're going to share those links. Anything else you want us to share? I think you maybe had something for the audience today. Was there
Yes,
a little
I if
special?
of course, thanks. I I didn't know
No
I was sharing
worries.
it, but I would
Right.
love to. As like a thank you, everyone who's listening, if anyone is interested in checking out our shop, by all means, when you go to the launchit.co, just hit on the shop on our main menu, and any template that you see there, bundle, individual template, or even our Launch It theme, please use the special code Heather20. I think I set
That's
it up
right.
as,
Yep.
and enjoy 20% off anything in our shop. And we'd love to welcome you into our ecosystem. So,
Oh, I love
yay.
it. That is so generous. And particularly because you've already made that level of design so accessible. So if you're listening, we will share the details for both the code and the link over to Amelia's store. Super, super amazing of you, Amelia. What final, I feel like, gosh, there's so much more I want to ask you, but what final takeaway or thought would you like to leave people with today?
About websites, or like
Anything,
just in general.
just in
I
general,
think
anything.
when you have something that you want to launch into the world, just really think about what it is that you want to do, and lightly how you want to do it, and how, like, who you want to work with, and like get something up there that just allows people to easily connect with you and explore. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Don't wait until you have a perfect
Mm,
process from A to Z, because you'll spend ages trying to figure it out, and guaranteed it will not actually deliver like that. And just share and just be real with what you want to do, and ask. The only way that you're
mm,
going to get started and actually launch is to ask someone to work with you. Here, this is my service. I would love to work with you, and here's how we can get in touch, and let's get started. So, like with us, you want to get a website up, you want to launch just a quick website, please come on and work with us at the Launch It Co. And here is a discount, Heather20. So yeah, I'd
woo!
leave with that. Just lean into whatever you want to do, and
Mm.
explore and launch it.
Oh, I love it. Back to the theme. And I love your website so much. And the name, the launchit.co. So launch-it.co. We're going to share that link and many others. Folks, you can find those on the show notes page at legalwebsitewarrior.com/podcast. Look for Emilia's episode. Emilia, big hugs to you, Mama. There was so much we didn't even talk about. I feel like there's going to be a round 2 to this conversation. So I
I'd love to.
really so appreciate you sharing all these gems today. Really look forward to connecting again.
Oh, thanks for having me, and have such a wonderful week.
You too.